I gotta admit, the end of the Fever Mercury game made me sit up for a second, because it got a little spicy with Caitlin Clark having an interaction with Dewanna Bonner out on the middle of the floor, sort of waving her back to the bench.
Well. Dewanna Bonner might have just made the biggest misstep of her season. Her choice to go after Caitlin Clark in the Mercury Fever showdown blew up in her face almost immediately. The cameras caught every second, the fans reacted instantly, and now social media is tearing it apart. This isn't something the league can quietly brush aside. So the real question is, who ended up looking worse when the dust settled?
Now, we all know that the Indiana Fever is trying to make a push for the playoffs. We've been getting mixed signals coming out about Caitlin coming back, about Caitlin being, somewhat ready to go. Then we got Stephanie White saying it's day-to-day again, basically. Well, I'm here to tell you, Caitlin Clark is not shying away from making headlines.
Let's break it down. Caitlin Clark, just in her second year, is already the headline act. Whether it's drilling logo threes, dishing out wild assists, or simply stepping on the court, everything revolves around her right now. Like it or not, the WNBA runs through Caitlin Clark. So when a veteran like Dewanna Bonner tries to step up and challenge that spotlight, the outcome is predictable, instant regret. What you get is a viral clip that's going to shadow her the rest of the season, because Caitlin Clark has a way of turning small skirmishes into season-defining storylines. And the fans, they can't get enough.
At this point in time. But that interaction stood out to me for a couple of reasons. I mean, number one, obviously, is the history there, where Dewanna Bonner was on the Fever for a cup of coffee and then winds up on the Mercury. That after, before the season, Caitlin Clark said she wanted to win a ring for her, right? Say, I want to win for her. And Caitlin Clark went out of her way to also, shine light on how Dewanna Bonner had risen up to the top of, near the top of the all-time WNBA scoring. And then,
The Fever were already feeling the weight heading into their showdown with the Mercury. It's been a turbulent season, injuries stacking up, coaches playing the day-to-day guessing game, and fans needing a medical chart just to know who's actually suiting up. Caitlin Clark has been in and out of practice, whispers of groin and ankle tweaks floating around, an endless debate about whether she should be eased back or thrown straight into the fire. Exhausting doesn't even cover it. And right in the middle of all that chaos, Dewanna Bonner decides it's the perfect moment to square up with Clark. Now, Bonner's no rookie. She's been in this league long enough to understand how narratives stick. But here's the reality. When you take a shot at Caitlin Clark, you're not just facing her. You're going up against the fans, the cameras, the media, and the endless wave of highlight accounts ready to loop your worst moment for weeks. That's exactly what played out. Bonner wanted to project toughness, to send a message that the Mercury wouldn't get pushed around. Instead, what the world saw was a veteran trying too hard to rattle the player who already commands more spotlight than half the league combined.
The right behind the coach coming out, John and Dewanna Bonner.
The whole exchange was almost comical in how fast it blew up. Clark stood her ground, flashing the hand motion like, go bark somewhere else. Bonner puffed up, trying to play queen of the court, while the refs stood frozen, pretending not to see what everyone else in the arena clearly did. And that's the thing with Caitlin Clark games, the officiating always seems a step behind. Whether it's ignoring headshots, swallowing whistles on obvious fouls, or dinging her with phantom calls, the refs somehow never get it right. In this case, their silence just made Bonner look worse, and fans picked up on it instantly. The second the clip hit Twitter, or X, but let's be real, it's still Twitter, it went nuclear. Fever fans called out the nonsense. Clark's supporters shrugged like, here we go again, another vet trying to bully Caitlin. Even Mercury fans were scratching their heads, wondering why Bonner picked this battle. After all, we've seen this before. Angel Reese, Kennedy Carter, Lexi Hull, each dust up just fueling Clark's legend. Except now, she's not even a rookie. She's in year 2. At this point, it's not hazing, it's desperation. Because here's the bigger picture, the Mercury's window is closing. Diana Taurasi isn't getting younger, and Bonner isn't a future cornerstone. Meanwhile, the Fever have Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and a young core that, if handled right, could run the league for the next decade. That reality terrifies veteran teams. So they lash out. But when Clark doesn't flinch, when she hits them with a talk to the hand in front of a sold-out crowd, it's not intimidation they see. It's embarrassment. The irony, Indiana still lost that game. Phoenix spread the scoring, 5 players hit double figures, and the Mercury walked away with the W. But by night's end, no one was talking about the scoreboard. The conversation was all Clark versus Bonner. That's the Caitlin Clark effect. You can win the game, win the standings, even win the box score, but if she gives you that one viral moment, the night belongs to her. She sets the narrative, and the league can't escape it.
The most clutchest player on the damn team. I'm not just saying that just to say it. Lexi Hall stand on business when it's time to play.
Let's talk about Lexi Hall for a second, because if there's one player who deserves flowers in this whole mess, it's her. She played her heart out, logging 35 minutes, dropping 18 points, and still finding a way to lock in on defense while her team was falling apart around her. Hall's the kind of player who might not always light up the scoreboard, but when the game is close, she shows up. And it's hilarious that while Bonner was busy trying to rattle Caitlin Clark, it was Hall who was actually giving Phoenix problems. But of course, we don't get a highlight reel of that. We get Bonner looking pressed while Clark casually waves her off. And that brings me to the Fever's coaching. Stephanie White, what are we doing here? You can't keep letting games slip like this, especially when the other team is stacking 5 double-digit scorers on you. That's not one mismatch. That's not one hot hand. That's your entire defensive scheme collapsing like a cheap lawn chair. Fans are tired of hearing the same recycled lines about being day-to-day and taking things one step at a time. At some point, the excuses wear thin. And while White is trying to manage rotations, injuries, and media pressure, she's also watching her players get into petty sideline beefs that steal the spotlight. The thing is, Clark didn't even need to drop 30 in this game to win the night. All she had to do was stand there, motion her bonnet away, and let the cameras do the rest. That's power. That's influence. And that's why every single veteran who thinks they can teach her a lesson ends up regretting it. You can foul her, shove her, and trash talk her, but she's still the headline. And the WNBA can't hide it, no matter how hard some executives probably wish they could. Fans called it perfectly online. They said, "Congrats, Dana. You just gave Clark another viral clip." And they're right. Because whether Bonner likes it or not, this is what fuels the Fever fan base. And honestly, it fuels Clark herself. She thrives off the pettiness, the doubters, and the so-called welcome to the league moments. And the more it happens, the stronger her brand gets. Meanwhile, veterans like Bonner end up looking salty, like they're gatekeeping a league that desperately needs fresh eyes and new fans. And speaking of fans, let's not ignore the reaction from the crowd. The Fever fan base has grown louder, more unified, and more fed up with the nonsense every single game. They've seen Clark take cheap shots all year. They've seen refs swallow the whistle while she gets shoved to the floor. And now, watching a veteran step up and try to sun her, or should I say and to her, was just more proof that this league doesn't know how to handle its rising star. So, what do fans do? They flip it into more fuel. They blow up the clip. They trend it on social media. And suddenly Bonner's tough guy act turns into a meme. That's instant regret in real time. And let's not kid ourselves. Clark herself knows the value of these moments. She's not dumb. She understands that every time someone comes at her, it's an opportunity to win without even putting the ball in the hoop. She knows the cameras are watching. She knows the fans are ready to pounce. And she plays into it with just enough sarcasm and confidence to make the other player look unhinged. That's a skill in itself. That's why she's not just a scorer, not just a passer, but a cultural shift. And Bonner, whether she meant to or not, just gave Clark another brick in that wall. The fallout from this Bonner-Clark clash is almost more interesting than the actual game, because now every headline isn't about the Mercury's playoff push or the Fever's struggles. It's about Dewanna Bonner trying to intimidate Caitlin Clark and failing in the court of public opinion. That's the funny part. Bonner might think she won the battle in the moment, but in the bigger picture, she lost it. You don't win when the clip gets replayed a million times with captions clowning you for looking pressed. You don't win when Clark shrugs you off like background noise. And you definitely don't win when fans are memeing you before the final buzzer even sounds. And here's where it gets worse for Bonner. Caitlin Clark feeds off this stuff. We've seen it before. Every time someone thinks they can body her up or send a message, she uses it as fuel. She responds by hitting logo threes, whipping cross-court passes, or just staring someone down like she's daring them to try again. That's the edge Clark brings. She doesn't need to scream. She doesn't need to chest bump. She just makes you look silly with one flick of the wrist or one sarcastic wave of the hand. That's way more effective than any tough talk. Meanwhile, the Fever are still juggling bigger problems. Defense remains shaky. Rotations look like they're pulled out of a hat, and injuries hang over everything. Fans are exhausted with the secrecy, tired of the vague day-to-day updates, and fed up with watching their star get beat up without protection from refs. Add Bonner trying to big dog Clark into the mix, and you've got fans boiling over. Because it's not just about one fight. It's about the constant disrespect piled on top of the mismanagement. But let's not act like the Mercury are suddenly the league's standard either. Yes, they got 5 players in double figures. Yes, they're climbing in the standings, but their strategy seems to include hoping Clark gets rattled. And if that's your game plan, good luck. Because Clark isn't rattled. She's amused. She knows how this league operates. She knows the vets are salty about the attention she gets. And she knows the refs aren't going to do her any favors. So instead of whining, she shrugs it off and keeps giving them highlight reels that end up on SportsCenter, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. And speaking of highlights, Lexi Hall deserves another nod. While Bonner was too busy jawing, Hall was quietly stacking points, defending hard, and proving again that she's the most underrated piece on this roster. You can't measure clutch on a stat sheet, but if you've watched the Fever all season, you know Hall delivers when the moment matters. Meanwhile, Bonner's big moment is going to live forever as the time Caitlin Clark waved her away like a fly buzzing at a picnic. That's not legacy material. That's meme material. So, yeah, instant regret. Bonner might have thought she was making a statement, but the only statement people heard was Caitlin Clark owns the spotlight. And honestly, it's kind of sad for the league that this is what grabs attention. Instead of talking about great team play or playoff races, everyone is fixated on who's trying to bully Clark this week. But that's the WNBA's reality right now. Clark is the main character whether players like it or not. And the more they fight it, the bigger she gets. The lesson here should be simple. Stop handing Clark free viral moments. Stop giving her fuel because every shove, every cheap shot, every side eye just becomes another clip that builds her brand. And for Bonner, that means she's not remembered for her 19 points in this game. She's remembered for losing her cool in front of Caitlin Clark and looking like she regretted it instantly. So, what do you think? Was this just another harmless scuffle? Or did Dewanna Bonner completely fumble by picking a fight with Caitlin Clark? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss when we break down the next viral WNBA meltdown.